Welcome to Dollars and Cents, Creating Your Fulfilled Life with Nicole Romito from Private Vista. In this podcast, we draw from years of experience as well as guest specialists to help you create the life you imagine. Join us in this journey as we enlighten and empower you to align your lifestyle to help you achieve your goals with a clear picture of your future. Now, let's get to the show.
Hello and welcome to Dollars and Cents with your host, Nicole Romito. Nicole, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Eric?
I am doing fantastic. I'm so excited to be with you. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this journey with you in Private Vista. You guys have started a podcast, and this, for the listening audience, this is the inaugural podcast. This is where you're going to get to know a little bit about your host, Nicole, a little bit about her history, Private Vista's history, and really a little bit about her personally as well. That's going to be the second half of the podcast. So I'm excited to get to know you a little bit better. Nicole, you ready?
I am ready.
All right. Well, let's do this. The first part's going to be a little bit about your history and the business history. So let's talk about you. How did you make the decision to get into financial services?
Yeah, that's a great question. I always knew that I wanted to be in the business world, was a finance major in college. But even though I really enjoy numbers, I wanted to do something where I would be combining my skill set around numbers, but really being able to interact with people on a regular basis. I got my start in the industry, which in my opinion is one of the best ways, as I was a part of a bank and got a lot of great training. It was well before banks had consolidated into these behemoths. So I got to work in every area of the bank, meet a lot of great different people, and also was part of a prestigious management training program. So I always say I grew up in banking, spent my first 10 years of my career there. While I was in private banking, I earned my certified financial planner or CFP designation. And that's when it hit me of that's what I want to do when I grow up.
Yeah. And I'm just going to say to the listening audience, if you don't know the designation CFP, there is a website called Investopedia that has great definitions. It's a great resource to learn things. Go look at the definition of CFP and look at how rigorous that test is. This is no small accomplishment. To have a CFP, Nicole, I know how much study and time you had to put into that. That is a rigorous exam.
Yes, I agree. Oftentimes when people ask me if I have my MBA or did I ever consider pursuing that, I say I consider my CFP to be my MBA. Mm-hmm. And I agree. So it was a tough go of it, but well worth it.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to hear that. That is a great designation to have. So let me ask you that. With that, who do you work with and what's your specialty really?
Yes. So I work with, I would say, clients who they're successful and they are looking for someone who they can have a long-term relationship with and know that talking with me is a safe space and they can ask any of their questions, share any of their concerns or their hopes and dreams. And of course, knowing that I'm going to help them quantify their goals. So of course, most people say, hey, at some point in my life, I want to be able to stop working or having to work at this capacity or work for pay. Mm-hmm. And so working with people who want a trusted advisor, a partner, someone who's going to walk through them with life to make sure that they are making decisions, taking into consideration all the aspects or facets of it. So they're not just making decisions in a vacuum, and they're making it in an informed way so that they're looking at it in the context of their own life and where they are today and where they're trying to go tomorrow.
Yeah, that's great. Now, I know that I asked you what your specialty is, and I want to kind of combine that with another question and change it a little bit on you here. Because Before we hit the record button, you and I were talking, you said, this is not about me. This is truly about Private Vista. You are the voice of this podcast. You're the one delivering the information, bringing on guests. We'll talk about that in the future. But really, you said, I want to shine the light on Private Vista. So what is your guys' specialty? And kind of describe your ideal client.
Yeah. So our specialty is we work with all of our clients are successful in whichever career path they have chosen. And they understand that time is their most precious commodity. Mm-hmm. So when they come to look for an advisor with Private Vista, they want someone they know that's going to get to know them and their loved ones very intimately so that they can spend their free time doing the things that they enjoy or want to pursue. And they don't have to worry about if they and their next generation or the organizations they care about are going to be taken care of. Our ideal client is going to be someone who's looking for a long-term or ongoing relationship. They are going to be willing to really bare their souls with us. It's a safe zone. We're not judging them. We understand that just like they are at the top of their career and understanding how to run their company or their division, they know that that's what we do, is we stay on top of all the different tax laws and what's going on in the world and the economy and the markets. And we're actually able to funnel it down to say, here's what you need to worry about, or here's what you need to look at. So we really help them tune out all the noise that is there. Yeah, I do want to say, just like in terms of specialty, there are a lot of different niches or areas that many of us specialize in. Mm-hmm. And again, that's why I think the strength in our firm is no one has to be the most knowledgeable on any one type of client or things like that. So for example, I focus on working with women who are in transition, mm-hmm. whether they're going through a divorce or their spouse has died. I get it's very gratifying to work with these women. They're generally at the low point of their life, and mm-hmm. really just seeing from when they come in from the first meeting to, as we're working together over the first year, second year, and third year, to really see them start to flourish and go from a place of feeling overwhelmed and anxious to one where they feel confident and have a really good sense of clarity.
I love that. So what kind of client education do you do?
Yeah, that is probably the tenet of Private Vista. Education is a core component for all of us, regardless of what we're educating you on. We provide it in many areas. Two that I'd like to highlight is we really want to make sure for those who are married or in a committed relationship, we want to make sure we understand that there's only so many hours in the day. And it's very understandable that you divide and conquer. And one person usually takes the lead on finances. And we get that, but we want to make sure that both of the people are involved and educated on the situation and what the overall strategy is. Mm-hmm. So we do have our process includes educating the person who might be completely uninterested in finances or just doesn't have the time. So we'll tailor it to the level that we feel is applicable for them. The other one that we do that I want to highlight is educating kids and grandkids of our clients. And this can start as early as high school, where they're wanting to teach their kids about basic money management or how to be responsible around credit, to helping them if kids are taking out loans for college. And then as the kids move into adulthood and you're getting their jobs, helping them evaluate their 401k and making sure they're maximizing their benefits.
Yeah, that's so important. I mean, and the funny thing is I've got kids. I've also got grandkids. And I know that kids don't always listen to parents, right? Because we can tell them things 6, 7, a dozen times. But the minute somebody else tells them, oh my goodness, they're a genius. I'm like, oh, geez, really? I've been telling you that for 3 years, but that's how it works. And so it's nice to have an opportunity to rely on somebody it's nice to be able to have somebody in your corner that you can lean on when it comes to educating, your kids or helping that process along, because it's not our voice, it's yours. And you come off as the ones who know what's going on. So I love that. I love that you do that. I love multi-generational planning, I think, is so vitally important, especially now. So I'm glad that you do that. My next question is, we're going to kind of skim this one down a little bit, because I've met a lot of your team And we could have an entire podcast on your team, but can you tell the audience what your team is made up of? How many people are on your team, just so they get an idea of who they're working with?
So we have 36 people who are part of the Private Vista team. And the way we will put together the team for the client is going to depend on, we do try to tailor it. So we're going to look at personalities. We're going to look at what is the composition of their balance sheet, what area are they working on. But each client will have two advisors at least on their team. And these are going to be advisors who are very knowledgeable about the client, their situation, and what we're working on. So we always want to make sure that this way, when someone's on vacation or out of the office, that they truly can be away, taking some time off to recharge, but our clients are still being taken care of.
Love that. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have that team approach. I did not know there was that many people on your team. I think I've met 5 or 6 of you altogether. I had no idea it was that large of a team. That is fantastic.
Yes, and I do want to just put out there that we are always looking to hire fantastic people. So we are looking to grow the team. So just want to put that out there in case anyone's interested in joining our industry and our wonderful firm.
Perfect. All right. Well, I know that the answer to my next question, I was going to ask you how you acquire new clients, but through our discussions, I know that it's almost all referral based because of the work that you guys have done. I think that is a fantastic way to grow. I think it's the best way to grow because it speaks volumes as to what you and your team do. Is there anything besides referrals as far as you acquiring clients?
Yeah, I agree. That's our main way. And it comes not only from clients, which really is a reflection of our work, but also too, we partner with other professionals such as CPAs, estate planning attorneys, mortgage lenders. So I want to highlight that from the fact of not only can we provide advice and around the financial aspects, but all of us know a whole host of a lot of other professional advisors. Mm-hmm. So if clients need a CPA or an attorney or a mortgage lender or a realtor, we have a really deep bench on being plugged into other areas of the community. And therefore, we do a lot of work for those professionals, but also too, are very comfortable referring their clients to us. And then the other way that we will acquire new clients is, again, kind of through that education, where we will put on programs. Mainly it's been through webinars, but we're, pre-pandemic, and we're hoping at some point to get back to in-person events where either we may be highlighting some Private Vista people and their area of specific knowledge, or again, we may partner with some outside speakers if it's something we want to talk about. So for example, talking about my kid is getting ready to go to college, maybe it's like, well, really understanding how do you make that decision? And it's so much more than just about the cost.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, my last question for this section really is kind of a deep question, so I hope you're ready. What is your business and investment philosophy?
That's a great question. I would say for our philosophy in general is really about it's about the people. And that's going to be both with our colleagues at Private Vista, and certainly and always front and center are the clients that we are so privileged to serve. Mm-hmm. We're long-term thinkers. Our plans, we are planning for the long term, but we also understand that you need to also tweak and adjust along the ways. Because as our clients evolve and their lives evolve, what they thought they might want to be doing in a year or 3 or 5 years, as you get there, you may say, great, now I'm here. Now I want to go over there. And then, of course, we're all aware that the world is ever evolving at a faster and faster pace. So we we're looking at a long-term strategy, and our investment philosophy is really based on how much risk does our client need to take in order to be best positioned to achieve their goals.
Got it.
So it's all really comes back to what are our clients trying to do? And that's why we named our firm Private Vista, because we're trying to say, what is your Private Vista and how can we help you think about things and then position your assets and best utilize your income to be able to help get you there.
I love that. All right. Well, we have closed out the first half of this podcast. Now we're going to get into the personal side. You ready?
Sure.
All right. So Nicole, when you're not working, what do you do for fun?
Well, Eric, I have to say that I have a lot of fun at work. I take what I do very seriously, and it is a big responsibility. But in particular, because I am working with women when they're at their low point, many of them have never been involved with their finances. Mm-hmm. And I have found that as appropriate, being able to use my sense of humor, it helps them kind of let their guard down and they can actually open their minds and receive and process the information that I'm trying to give them. But outside of that, I love to cook and I love to play golf and travel and then also read as well.
All right. What's your favorite dish to cook?
Oh, I've got two. I am known for my spaghetti and meatballs with my homemade sauce, which is a family recipe. And then kind of on the flip side would be my homemade pork enchiladas with salsa verde.
Ooh. Oh boy. Okay. We're doing the next podcast is going to be in person at lunch.
I was just going to say, you want to come over for dinner?
Oh, I'm telling you, it sounds fantastic. Oh my goodness. All right. So here's a question that gets you thinking outside the box. If you had all the money in the world, and I'm talking like it's funny, I'm doing this podcast, I think right when one of the lotteries is over $1 billion, we won't talk about that. But if you woke up tomorrow and there was $7 trillion in your checking account, what would you do?
The first thing I would do is I would travel, probably, I would say at least like for a year or so. Love to travel, love to experience different cultures, certainly different foods, but I would definitely do that. And it'd be so much fun because then I could do it in style and take family and friends. That would be a really big treat. So that's what I would do kind of out of the gate. And then ongoing, since I wouldn't have to work, I would still, a big passion of mine is really working with people that typically we wouldn't be working with, but I think need our knowledge and the education even more so. So I would want to look at sharing my time and skill set to be able to educate people, just even like how to basic money management 101 and helping them evaluate how they can best set themselves up where they are today and then help them make progress from their financial side.
Perfect. And if you need anybody to carry luggage on those trips, I can carry luggage like you wouldn't believe. Just the food that you find, just that's my payment, and I'll just carry it wherever. All right, deal.
All right, it's a deal.
That's this is recorded, right? I just want to make sure you understand. Yeah. It's a legal binding. Okay, maybe not. All right. So next is, what is one thing that you recommend most to clients, family, or friends? And when I ask this question, it could be anything. It could be a pizza topping. It could be a book. It could be anything. What do you recommend?
Yeah, well, I'm going to continue along my kind of cooking and food theme.
All right.
And it's going to be buy a food vacuum sealer machine.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, I love to cook. I don't understand how to cook in small quantities. So It's great to be able to just portion it off and then have home cooked food and have a well-stocked freezer throughout the year.
Yeah. And I almost exclusively use that machine for cheese. I'll just be honest. Oh. I love cheese. And so we buy these big blocks of all variety of cheese, but that is the best way to keep it fresh and sealed. And so I'm right there with you. I've got one and I love it. Love that.
I agree. It was money well spent.
All right. This next one is my favorite question. I'll be honest. What is one thing that most people don't know about you?
Well, I think keeping in the spirit of this is being recorded and it's for my company's behalf. Yes. Just teasing. So one thing that most people don't know about me is when I was 4 years old, I was in a really bad bike accident. So I was a child in the 70s, and, I would say safety standards were a lot more lax
yes.
back then. Yeah. Yep. And so my parents had me on the back of a bicycle, and my left leg went into the spokes of the wheel. Yeah. And broke my leg. My heel was just about severed from, hanging on by the Achilles tendon. Hopefully no one's listening to this before breakfast, but, and so, I broke my leg, was in a cast and things like this. And what I didn't know until much later on is it was pretty close to the fact that the doctors weren't sure if I was going to be able to walk again on that leg. And so I remember when it was probably in high school or college, and my mom was like, oh yeah, it's so amazing that you do all these sports. I was doing gymnastics and cross country and stuff. Cause she's like, we weren't sure as a kid, really what was going to turn out from this. So it was, kind of, I think a thing about healing well, resiliency. And then, I've got a nice scar to always remind me of it, but other than that, no, knock on wood, no long lasting bad effects.
Yeah. I don't know how we survived lawn darts and those
I know
back in the day. So I'm right there with you.
Yeah, exactly.
My goodness. All right. Nicole, what's your idea of success?
Oh, gosh, this could go so many ways. For me, off the cuff, I would say that while you're needing to work for pay, you're doing something that you enjoy. And in your opinion, you feel like you truly are helping people. And then I would say ongoing, once, you're financially independent, that you look back and say, gosh, you know what? I worked hard. I played hard. I kind of I don't like work-life balance, but I do think that you did what you needed to do, but you also enjoyed it along the way.
Nice. Yeah. Earlier you had touched on the noise, right? And
yes.
I'm a big believer in turning off the TV, turning off the news. Let's just be honest. The media outlets out there, they're there to sell advertising. So the things that they're saying are to trigger people to watch their show, to sell that advertising space. And to me, it's all noise. It's just junk. And these last 2 years have been tough, Nicole. And you know that. You know that from a business standpoint, a personal standpoint, people lose focus. And so I want to ask you, do you have a mantra or a motto or something that you say to yourself to keep yourself focused and on track, or get yourself back on track?
I do. And it's this too shall pass.
There you go. Very simple, but very
right. Exactly. And it's true. So whether it's good or bad, just kind of live in the moment and then kind of don't, and then kind of look forward and hopefully be able to move on from it.
Absolutely. All right. Well, this podcast is nationwide. You've got the attention of a lot of people. And I want you to kind of sum up. I mean, we talked about what your guys' ideal client is. We talked about, the people that you work with, but this is going to be a very educational podcast. You're going to have a lot of, we're going to have a lot of fun. First of all, I can already tell.
Yes.
But you're going to have guests on the show. Who should be listening to your podcast? Who's going to get the most value out of it? And then I also kind of want to know, give us a sneak preview of what's coming up.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be doing this with you as well, Eric. I think we're going to have a lot of fun and do so while sharing some good stories and good information. Mm-hmm. I mean, generally speaking, I think anyone could benefit from listening to the podcast. We want to look and share and educate people on how do you understand how the various parts of your life can come together to support your wealth. Wow. And we called it dollars and cents with the play on words of sense for a reason, because it's so much more than just the numbers and the projections and the pot of money you need to save for your various goals. What I have found in the many, many years since I've been doing this is, many things in life may not seem related to money, but they still impact your wealth. So a couple of examples of what we have coming down the pike is, we're going to discuss what to do if you're faced with a loved one who can no longer care for themselves. And yes, there's a financial component of that, but I think even just as hard or even harder is the emotional component.
Yeah.
And how are you teeing up these conversations? Who do you want to have at the table when you're doing so? So everyone can feel like they're part of the conversation, that they're heard, and that they're being treated with dignity.
Yeah.
Another one that we'll have coming is, again, thinking about how you choose a college. And again, not just the price tag or what's your major or things like that, but understanding like where is your child going to have the best likelihood of being teed up for success? Right? Is it a big environment? Is it a small environment? Is it getting away from where they grew up? Is it staying in the community? And then really just helping them look at the person as a whole versus what's your major going to be.
Yeah.
And then the third one that I'll bring up is how does your mental wellness impact your wealth, if you will? So again, we plan to go much, expand it outside of the traditional things you would think about with, it's a wealth management podcast.
Yeah, that's important because like you said, all of it revolves around money in a way. And we're not trying to just focus on money, but that touches so many parts of our life and can make things a lot easier when we're having to make decisions, or it can make it much more difficult. So I think that this is amazing. I'm excited to go on this journey with you. When people are listening to this, I know that they're going to have questions, and I'm hoping that they reach out to get those answers. How do they get a hold of you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. So are we. I mean, I'm really excited for us to have our guests, so we can even have it be more interactive. But yes, we want the audience to be able to interact with us as well. There's two ways they can contact us. They can call us at 312-831-4370. That's 312-831-4370. That'll get you to one of our receptionists. It might be Lorena or Sue Bolt, and then they'll be able to get you in touch with the appropriate advisor. The other way you can do is we have wonderful information, and there's also a way to get in touch with us through our website, and that's at www.myprivatevista.com. So it's myprivatevista.com. And right on our homepage, you will see at the top, you can click on Contact Us. And that's another easy way where we'll get you in touch with the appropriate advisor.
Fantastic. Nicole, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Eric. I'm very excited for this.
Me too. And our last thank you is always going to be reserved for you, the listening audience. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to the Dollars and Cents podcast with Nicole Romito. If you have not subscribed to the podcast yet, which I know you haven't because this is the very first one, please click the subscribe now button below. This way, when Nicole comes out with a new podcast, it'll show up directly on your listening device. And we humbly ask you to share this podcast, rate it, and leave a review, as this actually does help other people find the show. Again, thank you so much for listening today. For everyone at Private Vista, this is Eric Johnson reminding you to live your best day every day. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Dollars and Cents, Creating Your Fulfilled Life with Nicole Romito, sponsored by Private Vista. Visit our website at www.myprivatevista.com or give us a call at 312-831-4370. And don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Private Vista is a group comprised of investment professionals registered with Hightower Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Advisory services are offered through Hightower Advisors, LLC. This is not an offer to buy or sell securities. No investment process is free of risk, and there is no guarantee that the investment process or the investment opportunities referenced herein will be profitable. Past performance is neither indicative nor a guarantee of future results. The investment opportunities referenced herein may not be suitable for all investors. All data or other information referenced herein is from sources believed to be reliable. Any opinions, news, research, analyses, prices, or other data or information contained in this presentation is provided as general market commentary and does not constitute investment advice. Private Vista and Hightower Advisors, LLC, or any of its affiliates make no representations or warranties expressed or implied as to the accuracy or completeness of the information or for statements or errors or omissions, or results obtained from the use of this information. Private Vista and Hightower Advisors LLC assume no liability for action made or taken in reliance on or relating in any way to this information. The information is provided as of the date referenced. Such data and other information are subject to changes without notice. This was created for informational purposes only. The opinions expressed herein are solely those of the authors and do not represent those of Hightower Advisors LLC or any of its affiliates.